Coming up on the next episode of the Celsius Pod.
And I'm like, okay, it's already Sunday night. I don't really want to watch it. But I end up just keep delaying it. We're like, oh, I kind of want to watch something else today. Then eventually, like, get closer and closer to Friday, and I'm like, okay, I need to watch this episode. And then when I sit down and watch the episode, I'm like, wow, this is so good. Why was I putting this off?
I'm seeing people hate this movie.
I know it's just going to end with them both being fun and being like, guys, we have to work together. 88.
Guys,
88.
big ass Otamatone.
He got a new one.
Brilliant purchase. I got a new. Well, it's old because I found it at a Goodwill for $13.
Wow, that's money.
They normally go for $65, so that's a pretty good steal if I do say so myself.
That
It's
is.
black and long opposed to the small and white one.
I found it in San Francisco. So
San Francisco.
Yeah.
The city of the bridge, as they call it.
Sure is. City of Inside Out 2.
It is the city of Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
So, guys, I think we're at kind of a weird area right now.
Weird area?
The
Of what kind
Boys
of
has ended. House of the Dragon is ending soon.
No.
We're wrapping up RWBY.
Uh-oh.
Everything seems to be falling apart right now.
God damn.
We still have Kiteman.
We still have Kiteman.
We fucking have Kiteman. Hell yeah.
But before we get into any of the topics, there's Comic-Con going on now.
There is.
And recently Amazon has released some news about their upcoming TV shows.
Wow.
Which is pretty interesting, so let's get into that.
Yes.
There's going to be a boys spin-off show.
Another one.
About Soldier Boy.
And
Wow.
I saw this really funny clip of Jensen Ackles kind of like finding out during a panel of The Boys Season 5 that he's like on it. And like he's reading the description. So him and Aya Cash, who played Stormfront, they're both going to be in the show. And I'm going to say it sounds interesting, but at this point, The Boys is starting to feel like the MCU a little bit.
It is. They've been doing too much. So Gen V Season 2, The Boys Season 5,
Boys
Diabolical, and then they have the fucking Mexico. The Boys Mexico.
Yeah. And so it's becoming that thing where it's like, okay, I enjoy The Boys, and I enjoy Gen V, and I enjoy renditions into the universe.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like, come on, man. How much more can we really take this kind of story? Because like it does kind of degrade the original message of the original show, you know?
Yeah.
It feels the show. I saw someone saying that it feels like something the show would make fun of within its own universe, because like it feels like Vought Rising would be a fake movie in that universe.
Yeah,
they already kind of did that. They already
did
made
the whole
joke.
fake Comic-Con thing, you know.
And then they did it anyways.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's I'm probably going to watch it and all that stuff. But I mean, it's like there's no need for it. And what do we already don't know about like Soldier Boy and Stormfront that we need to kind of see again is my thing too.
Yeah.
Like, you know?
I guess they were
It's
both
like,
just pretty fun characters and people just want to see them again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is true. They are fun. It's like it is nice that they're bringing back those two actors and characters. But I mean, it's like you know what? Gen V kind of surprised me, so I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt, and we're going to have to kind of like see how it goes.
Yeah. Another thing that was announced,
Hazbin
Hotel seasons 3 and 4. I didn't even know season 2 hasn't even come out. I didn't know it was fully in production, but I guess we have 3 more seasons coming.
That's pretty cool because it is pretty good, despite what people say.
Yeah.
Gen V is definitely coming in 2025, And The Boys probably going to come in 2026.
Invincible season 3. We got like a
season 3 and 4 back.
3 got like a teaser for like him in like the blue suit, and then season 4 got like officially greenlit.
Confirmed.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. They're both all of these like shows like Hazbin Hotel, The Boys, Invincible. They're hot shows for Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
So,
well, they only have like 3 good shows, right?
Yeah, basically.
They have surprisingly they have quite a few bit shows on Amazon Prime that you have to do a bit more digging to find.
Like The Samurai Turned Pretty.
Yeah, they have the Jack Ryan show, Reacher, the Marvelous Miss Maisel, and all those shows.
You're not saying real shows.
Those are real shows.
I am.
I'm sad to say.
No,
Bosch,
those are fake.
Bosch. Yeah.
Bosch. That's definitely a fake show.
Yeah, he made that one up.
But yeah, no, Amazon Prime's like probably like I don't know, my 3rd favorite streaming service. I'm gonna have to say
that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, for me, I don't know.
Definitely above Disney Plus for me.
Netflix, Disney Plus, and Max are the big 3 for me.
I'd probably say not Max or not. I mean not.
I'd go
Netflix. I mean, I'm definitely saying Max. I'm definitely saying Disney.
Yeah, Max and Disney are the 2 big ones.
For me, I think I'd go Hulu and Max. Those are my 2.
Well, Hulu's just Disney. Hulu's just Disney.
If you include Hulu and Disney, then you have to put Disney.
Because it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but on its own before Disney Plus, I quite liked it.
Got it.
So that's all like the new. I don't know if there's anything else.
All right, let's get into our solos then.
All right.
Anyone have any solos?
I have one.
All right, Aiden, give us the solo.
All right, so remember when we went to see The Lion King last week?
Yeah.
So I watched Better Lion King.
I assume this is some kind of 1.5.
This is actually the sequel to Lion King. It's called Lion King 1.5. Now, remember, so you know how the movie gets good after Timon and Pumbaa show up because those are the best characters and the best part of the movie?
Yeah.
So this movie is a Timon and Pumbaa movie.
Like a prequel or a sequel?
Yes.
Both.
So it's actually a prequel while also the same movie at the same time.
Yes.
Like Monsters, like Inc. and like the show, right?
Yeah. So the movie is like Timon and Pumbaa. They're like, wow, we just watched The Lion King on our TV. Let's watch what happened with us before that. And so we see Timon living with all the other meerkats. And then he's like, wow, I'm so bad at being a meerkat. I'm going to go. I'm going to go. And so he goes and he sees Rafiki, and Rafiki's like, you must go beyond what you see. And then he goes to Pride Rock and he meets Pumbaa. And he's like, Pumbaa, you stink a lot and nobody goes near you, which is good for me because I'm a little guy and I'm going to get eaten by hyenas. So I'm going to stick with you. And so he sticks with Pumbaa. And as he's with Pumbaa at Pride Rock, we see the circle of life, Timon, like Rafiki holding Simba. And the reason all the animals bow is because Pumbaa farted really hard and all of the animals passed out because it was so stinky. And that's why they bow in the first movie. And then Timon and Pumbaa go and they live in a hole. And then they hear, I just can't wait to be king. And they're like, these people are so loud. Knock it off. And then they knock over the big tower of animals. That's why they fall over in the first movie. Because they knocked them over. And then they're like, man, this sucks. We're going to go over here. And then they go to the wasteland, to the elephant graveyard, where they see, what's his face? They see, like, Mufasa attack the hyenas when Nala and Simba are there. And then they're like, this sucks. We're going to go to this big open valley. And then they get chased by the antelopes that kill Mufasa. And then they finally find where they are in the first movie. And then we're in the first movie. They find Simba and they're like, wow, it's Simba. And then Or you know how you didn't like how there wasn't very much of like young Simba with Pumbaa and Timon? That's in this.
Yeah.
That's in this movie. So if you were to like combine the movies and watch them, like watch this part, then this part, then this part, then this part,
Somebody
it
has
would be like
definitely made that.
yeah, it would be a 3-hour movie. But
Was this movie straight to DVD?
yeah, I think so.
Definitely. I've seen it and
Um,
it feels so much like a direct to DVD sequel.
but it's peak though.
Yeah, true.
And then like they hang out with Simba while he's growing up, and then Nala shows up, and you see like, can you feel the love tonight from Timon and Pumbaa's perspective, and everything that happens in that scene is actually them like trying to get them to break up, and it's
Oh,
fun. It's
yeah.
all fun. It's all fun. And then they go and like when Simba runs away, like Pumbaa leaves, and then Simba goes, or then Timon goes after him, and then we just see their perspective when they're not in the movie. Like anytime Simba's doing something in the original movie, we're seeing Timon and Pumbaa do something in a different part of the movie that directly affects things from the first movie, and that's really cool, I think.
So they do like a thing where it's like, there's they take like the animation from like the original and then they do a different animation for like the other parts of like, when we see the Timon
No,
and Pumbaa part, or like is it very hard, or is it the same style really?
it's the same style. Like they kind of reanimate a lot of stuff.
Mm. Do they reanimate the scenes from Lion King?
There's some that they reuse, but a lot of it is from different angles because you're seeing it from where Timon and Pumbaa are standing instead of where the audience is supposed to be.
Mm.
But it's a
Makes
very
sense.
entertaining movie.
Yeah. I
It's
remember I
very,
watched it before when I was a kid and I remember it being really good.
yeah, it's definitely like as good as Lion King. Like I rated them the same, but they're different in different. They're like good in different ways,
Yeah.
right? Like
Mm.
I think like this one's definitely funnier. Like there's just one where there's just a bit where fuck, what does he fucking say? He said where like Timon talks about a fraught fest.
What?
Yeah, it's very weird. I mean, it's funny though. Like you know what frauding is, Beck, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Definitely.
you would know, Beck.
They call them Beck Fraught Lions.
They do call him that.
Mm.
Okay.
Becky,
Anything
tell
else, Aiden?
everyone you meet that's your name.
Hi,
but
he goes up to the ladies. I'm Beck
um,
Fraught
I mean
Lions.
that's all I really have for Lion King 1.5. It's very good.
Yeah.
I would
you
like I
suggest
would like to do a watch through where I watch like you watch both like intercut with each other.
like a double feature,
Mm.
or
I mean, it'd be one movie technically.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
So,
but I do have
Uri, do you have
other.
any solos?
I'm thinking they put How I Met Your Mother on Netflix again, so I've been rewatching those, and that's always
Oh.
a nice little comedy I always come back to. You guys have any like comedies you always come back to every few years?
Parks and Rec usually. That's a really good comedy for me.
I mean, The Office, but just clips on YouTube usually.
Yeah, I get a ton of How I Met Your Mother like shorts. So yeah, I've seen clips and it feels pretty funny.
Hmm. So I'll usually do that. I'll watch like random episodes, or sometimes just random seasons, or like really good arcs in the show. Because like the thing about How I Met Your Mother, it's like it kind of differed from a lot of other sitcoms, where the fact that it has like a, a goal or a question, because you're trying to figure out who is the mother of the children eventually, because so it follows like you're already, it's not going to be that person, because something goes, because he's talking about someone else, because you would assume they'd be married by that point, so you always know that relationship he's going to have is not going to be the ultimate one. And so it's like it led to a bunch of like sort of idea like fan theories, because like it led to like I think, is the main character Ted, is he actually a schizophrenic talking to his fake children or something like that? And like it gets you like thinking, it's like it's very ripe for like conspiracy theories and fan theories, the show. And so that kind of what got people kind of like very hooked into the show. And I think I mean, honest, I find it a lot of the times better than like something a show you can compare it to like Friends or something because it has a lot more classic episodes to me of How I Met Your Mother, and there's like a lot of like very iconic moments I remember, and that's
Mhm.
partly why I think their weird little sequel series, How I Met Your Father, on like Hulu with
Yeah.
Hilary Duff. It kind of just did not work because they were trying to put this kind of thing that was very much of that time period into this sort of like time period where it's like we know because like it was like from 2008 to like a little later or something. But now like TV is such a different kind of landscape in a way
Yeah.
Yeah.
where it's like it's such a different. So them trying to replicate it was trying to maybe go back to like an younger times, but it just kind of failed, and I don't think it garnered enough interest. I watched it, I thought it was fine, but the jokes they try to do were trying to put them at like a modern context, so it was just like it couldn't fit, and I think it just didn't. We didn't get like a satisfying enough show, and what's really annoying about the show is that we never, because like they flip it because it's a father now, but we never find out who the father is ever, and which is really annoying because
Was
we
it?
never know
Yeah,
now.
Because
was
the
it
show
got?
got canceled.
So I just assume it's the closest guy she like was like having a will they won't they with, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so it's been fun rewatching those. It's like you get it's just a fun time. And so I do that whenever I'm like working because nowadays, I'm making movies.
He is
so,
making movies.
Just making movies.
Okay. Yeah.
That's the big thing.
Nice.
Uh,
I do have another solo thing though.
What?
all right. Yeah. What?
My Adventures with Superman.
Yo, the finale, right?
The finale of season 2. Uh-oh.
Nice.
I mean, really is they defeat Brainiac but what's really important is that all the villains kind of help, like all the like whatever side villains team up with Superman and stuff, and they help him and Kara defeat Brainiac, and they blow Brainiac up into the sun.
Mm.
Well, they don't blow him up into the sun. He blows them up into the sun, but then they're like, oh wait, we are powered by the sun because we're Kryptonian,
Yeah.
which is like that's a thing in the comics, Beck. Well, I don't know why you're laughing.
No, I'm just. I know.
That's a
I know
thing.
that's a thing. I know it's a thing, Aiden.
Yeah, that's a thing. So they get their powers from the sun, and they beat the Krypton ship, and Brainiac gets cut in half, but they still like have his motherboard or something. So I don't think he's like officially completely dead, which makes sense because it's like Kara's father, which would be hard for her to actually kill him. But I'm pretty sure they still have like his motherboard or whatever. But they defeat Brainiac, and then Kara's on Earth now with everybody. And also Amanda Waller is missing, and all of Lex Luthor's robots are bad and broken. So
Ooh.
it was a very good finale for
Only
season
there
2.
was some other DC thing that happened this week.
Yeah, if only.
If only there were 3 other DC things that happened this week, because I forgot about some of them.
Only.
Did they tease up like a good season 3?
It didn't have any teasers, unless it did, and I'm stupid. Let me go check. I didn't tee anything up, I don't think. I think
Did
it
the
was.
end of season 1 do that for season 2?
I can't remember. No, it didn't have anything. It was just like they just flew away into the sunset, and it was done. There's nothing, no cliffhangers or anything. The only cliffhanger is that Amanda Waller's missing, but that's like nothing.
Yeah.
I did remember though that one of the characters in the show is literally like Deathstroke, which I completely forgot about.
Oh, yeah, Deathstroke.
Deathstroke. Slade Wilson, his name. He's a guy with a mask and 2 katanas and guns.
That's crazy.
Like Wade Wilson?
Like Wade Wilson. But we'll get to that later.
They sound very similar. This feels kind of weird.
Yeah. They make a joke about that in Teen Titans Go to the movie.
Well, let's get into like a group thing. So, what is a group thing that maybe Aiden and Beck have done?
I feel like that's something we have to say for the end.
That is something we say for the end, Beck.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Uri has to sit through it at the end again.
Yeah.
Or you could just leave when we start talking about it, really. You know that, right?
No.
Well, we could talk about Kiteman.
You
Let's
guys
talk
can
about
talk
Kiteman.
about Kiteman, yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
we'll talk.
why do you not watch Kiteman?
So the thing is, I didn't really like the first 2 episodes of Kiteman, and
You should.
I had a lot of other stuff I had to watch this week, so I was like, I'll do it later, and then it came to today, and I'm like, oh, I have to watch it before tonight. And I had to watch a lot of stuff, and then I realized, it's okay if I don't see Kiteman. I wasn't
It's
really
not
looking
okay.
forward to it.
Okay, well, here's what happens in this episode. A villain-themed chain restaurant opens across the street, and they gotta go stop it. Kiteman has to stop it. While also he asks Golden Glider to move in with him because he found a secret checklist that said if you don't move in after 1 year, dump him. But it's been 14 months, and he's like, oh no, she's gonna dump me, so I gotta have her move in now. And then she says no, and he's like, God damn it, I'm gonna go get rid of the restaurant across the street to save our relationship. And Golden Glider's with the headless girl and Malice, and she's at a spa that the villain restaurant like send them to, and she's like, wow, I don't want to move in with him because I'm afraid I'm gonna kill him. I love him a lot, but I don't want to kill him. And then actually the spa was actually a trap, and they're there to kill them. And then Golden Glider kills all of them, and also she's naked. And also she thinks Kiteman is dead. And then Kiteman's at the villain restaurant, and he's like, wow, the owner's a child. I can't kill a child. Uh-oh. He also says he hasn't killed anyone before, but he's like, I can't kill it. Which is bad because he's a villain. But he can't kill a child, and he's like, uh-oh, I can't kill a child. And he's talking to Noon, and he's like, how am I going to do this? And it's like, uh-oh, there's a bomb in the gift basket they gave us. And then they throw it at the place, and it blows up. But he also thinks Golden Glider is dead, so he beats up the child, and then they reunite at the end, and then they're gonna move in together.
And I found it to be like, I think probably my favorite episode so far.
So
I'm
far,
gonna
yeah.
say. I think it finally got into more of a vibe. I kind of I like now. It's like,
Yeah.
and okay, I see what this show is, because like the first 2 episodes I was like confusing. What is this show really? How can I kind of like enjoy it in a way that I can sort of vibe with it? And I feel like this episode was more of like I kind of vibed with the show in a way. So like, okay, so I can finally see like what they're trying to go for here. It's just like a nice little
the characters were
sweets.
The characters were much nicer to each other in this episode.
Yeah.
Which is better because like Harley Quinn has this whole cynicism thing where everyone hates everything all the time, and it's really annoying. But like having people actually be happy is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah. And because then you get like the nice character dynamic of this show, which is a bit more kinder. And so I'm gonna say I think maybe I was a bit too harsh on it last week. I was thinking like maybe it just shouldn't exist, and I feel like that's a bit too negative. I can see like it could be a nice little thing I'll watch like every week until it kind of like ends. And like,
yeah, I mean that's what it was with Harley Quinn.
Yeah,
like sometimes like I forgot to watch it some weeks because it was like, that might be the case for this show too. But like,
and it might be like that, and so we might not continue like these kind of like talking about it breakdowns perhaps. But I was like thinking the thing with this show, it kind of capitalized in more like a sitcom nature. With Harley Quinn, it got a little too serialized for my taste in the last.
I feel like shows that get like start off without like super serialization and then become super serialized
and then always
and then forget about like the part that made it like interesting. Like Beck, I hate to say it, but Owl House has this issue.
What?
Where like it really does though.
There's an issue. There's an issue, Aiden. Oh my God, Aiden! This is blasphemy. This is
Beck. The first season has both plot relevant episodes and cool one-off episodes that aren't integral to the plot but are still really good. Some shenanigans, if you will. And then season 2 doesn't have any at all. They're all plot relevant. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, like Steven Universe has that problem where like seasons 4 and 5 are like super serialized. It's like, well, it's kind of boring now because I liked towny stuff and I
I'm
took
gonna
it
say
for granted.
a show
I've
that has kind of the opposite problem of this is Rick and Morty, where it's like they do too little serialization, where you're kind of just begging for more when you kind of want more serialization, but they try to
They'll do like
keep the
one plot relevant episode a season.
which is too little for me.
I feel like I can never blame a show for focusing too much on the main plot, you know? I only ever get mad when stuff gets too serialized.
But like
And
the
that's kind of
problem
the
with
problem
that,
I had with Steven Universe, which is like over the first 3 seasons, it felt like so many episodes just didn't matter, like at all.
yeah, but they were like character episodes though.
Explain to me how Garnet going on a quest for 11 minutes is a plot or is like helps develop her character. It's like
No, it's just
fucking random shit like that. That's why like the movie is like my favorite thing about Steven Universe because everything is happening like back
okay.
to
Well, you
back.
know, okay. Well, RWBY also has this problem too. So
Okay, yeah. Well, because they fucking fuck around in a cabin for 3 episodes.
no,
least-
that's not what I'm talking about. Because those aren't like. Never mind. We'll come back to it.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, no,
You're talking about
ultimately,
Volume 9?
No, I'm talking about some entirely just like the show in general.
Mm.
and ultimately, like it is annoying when a show kind of doesn't know its identity with by like the later seasons. I'm gonna have to say, and like they're still trying to don't know what they're gonna do.
Yeah.
Because like Harley Quinn, like the season 3 and 4, it's annoying that they kind of like lost their way because I really enjoyed it. So hopefully Kiteman doesn't really repeat this issue or something like that. Because
Oh.
I don't see I potentially see something like that happening with like the whole Lex Luthor putting something in their freezer or something, you know?
You put the anti-life
like-
equation.
Yeah, I was saying maybe that could be like a nice little end of season 1 like type of thing
You
where it's
do
like
realize
okay,
that
well,
Data, one of the characters, is the one who's desperately looking for that, right?
Hmm?
The goth girl, what's her name, Malice? Her dad
Yeah.
is Darkseid, and Darkseid is looking for that thing,
Yeah.
and it's in the bar where his
Yeah.
daughter is working. So it's like, wow, there's conflict there.
Yeah, and so I can see something like maybe like a serialized episode at the end of each season or something, like a nice little ender, you know, as like of serialization maybe, but nothing too serialized. And I want to keep the show pretty episodic. And so that Kiteman, nice, enjoyable little show. Did we talk about House of the Dragon?
House of the Dragon.
So Beck, since you recently just saw this was like a week ago for me. So you got.
I do want
you
to
gotta-
explain something. Where House of the Dragon, it comes out like Sunday nights, and I'm like, okay, it's already Sunday night. I don't really want to watch it, but I end up just keep delaying it. We're like, oh, I kind of want to watch something else today. Then eventually, like, get closer and closer to Friday, and I'm like, okay, I need to watch this episode. And then when I sit down and watch the episode, I'm like, wow, this is so good. Why was I putting this off? And that cycle is repeated for the past 4 weeks.
It's making me want to punch your face. Like you just have this like smug look on your face. I just want to punch.
I'm glad this is not a live episode then.
But since you talk about the plot, then
Okay, so Rhaenyra is like, guys, we have 2 giant dragons, but no one to ride them. So she asks one of the knights, and the knight is like, you know what? This is weird. I'm not a Targaryen. But she's like, no, it'll be fine. And then he tries to get on the dragon, and he gets burned alive. So
I wouldn't say he was like fucking simping. Like I will do this for you. I will fucking do this. for
Okay,
you.
yeah. And then he dies. The dragon runs away. So now they're down like one of their really good knights and a dragon. So that's bad. And then what else do we have? So in King's Landing, it's like, guys, Aemond, he's the king. He's doing a bad job, and all the villagers hate him because they have no food. And then Aegon wakes up and he's like, and then Aemon goes to him and is like, you don't remember me trying to kill you, right? And he's like, was like pushing against his burnings. He's like, yeah, I don't remember. All's good. So he's
And then it
basically,
leads to like, and
yeah,
then that leads to a really interesting moment where he's like essentially saying to like the Archmaester, like, you know, say he's not doing well and kind of take care of him, you know.
yeah,
And and so then we see that in Aemond, I just want to mention this part because I
yeah.
thought it was really interesting. Um, Aemon, like they're at a council meeting, and then Laris is trying to do his Larisy things, where it's all like, you know, I can help you, but Aemon's all like, I don't need a use for you, you fucking like
No, it's like,
loser toad.
I need a hand, and he's like, oh, I gladly accept this. Like, you fucking toad, I was not picking you. Thought that was really funny. Yeah,
Go get Otto, go get my grandpa, and
yeah,
then we see that, but then I thought it was like a really powerful moment where it's like Aemon can finally see through the tricks of Laris, but it's ultimately kind of his failure that he discriminated against Laris for that, because essentially this makes Laris kind of fucking hate Aemon, and now he's like, he went to Aegon, he's like, you know, essentially, and I thought it was like a really powerful moment that we got some backstory for Laris, where it's all like, you know, he said like he felt like, because he's always been like a kind of kind of discriminated against before his clubfoot, for his deformity that he was born with.
yeah,
And he's all like, now he's like, Aegon, this is kind of your life. But I see like a kind of a kinship now between Laris and Aegon, and I'm going to see how Laris is probably going to protect Aegon from the attacks of Aemon, I assume. You know?
yeah.
And I thought that was really interesting. I don't know about you, Beck, but
Yeah, it is a really cool idea where it's like Aegon can't really do anything, even though he is technically the king. Yeah. And then
and so
Damon.
I definitely see like Aemon trying to
Yeah,
kill Aegon, but like Laris is probably gonna find some ways or something.
yeah. Damon fucks around in Harrenhal for another episode. We can skip that.
Jeez.
Um,
Yeah, Jesus. There's only one thing I want to mention from that, which
yeah.
is that sorry, I fell a bit right here. Because I'm on the ground. Um I want to mention that like he fucks around in Harrenhal, which is okay. He has some weird fucking things with Alice Rivers again, but she said to him, we kind of see like the scope of her power is like, you know, he needs to get like the paramount of the Riverlands, like, but Grover Tully is like dying and he's not doing anything. Then she says, wait 3 days, and then guess what? Grover Tully dies.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so we're seeing how it's probably, hopefully, something goes on next episode with that. I don't know.
Yeah, hopefully the plot moves a bit forward. Um, okay, and then I think the coolest plot line of this episode was like the citizens of King's Landing, where it's like
Right.
Rhaenyra's plan is to like kind of turn the citizens of King's Landing against Aemond. So like we see a lot of perspective, like they fucking hate the king. They're like, it was better under Viserys. Maybe it'd be good under the queen. And then
So she Uber eats them some food.
yes, and I thought that was an insanely cool plan and
Yeah.
smart, and it was really cool to see the ramifications of it. Um,
And this is not really Rhaenyra's plan at all. It's fucking Mysaria
yeah,
who's kind of like controlling all of this, and it's showing how valuable Mysaria is to her side, and like showing the kinship between Rhaenyra and Mysaria, how they're kind of working they're they're kind of like winning the war in that aspect, you know? And
yeah,
that's not any foreshadowing for later. That's definitely not. But I think what I like about the whole small folk kind of thing, which like in the main Game of Thrones series, like I don't know about this, but I didn't really feel like we got enough kind of
yeah.
like the
No,
small folk
I
story.
love all the scenes where we actually like see that the normal people of this universe don't give a fuck about who sits on the throne. They just care about their own problems. It's only like really the rich people who just care about having a bit more power, you know?
And it's ultimately they who
uh,
get the most affected by
Yeah,
the rich people, because like when the dragons burn the city, they are the ones who die.
yeah,
and I thought that's really really powerful. And so we're seeing they're definitely building up the stories of Ulf, the brother of Viserys and Daemon, like the bastard guy.
Yeah.
Hugh Hammer. So I definitely see these, and like maybe they are dragon seed, so perhaps like they can ride dragons or something.
Yeah, maybe.
So I'm definitely seeing how they're building up those plot lines, and I really enjoy seeing how now the war in King's Landing, the war this yes, there's dragons, but it can be fought in so many different ways, which is really cool.
Yeah. Speaking of bastards riding dragons, let's talk about the big ending of the episode where it's the dragon that we had fly off in the original Sea Smoke, right?
Laenor's dragon.
Yeah.
And so it kind of makes I think that so it's very much because in the Fire and Blood book, like Laenor is dead, but in the show he actually lives. But dragons can't have any other riders unless their like person dies. So
Yeah.
is Laenor dead? That's a theory for another day, but who knows?
Yeah. So a random bastard of Corlys, the dragon finds him on an island and picks him as his rider, and I think that's a really cool idea because it's someone who doesn't really have fierce loyalty to Rhaenyra is now a dragon rider, so Rhaenyra really has to fight for his loyalty. I feel like that'd be a cool idea.
It is a cool idea because I found it's like showing how like not all dragon riders have to be from like royalty or anything like that.
Yeah.
Uh, I mean, he still has Valyrian blood in him because Valyrians come from Valyria.
Yeah.
But it is interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's more about the dragon riders need to have a high status rather than like high blood. But it does feel like the high blood is necessary, and that's why it didn't really work for the other guy.
Yeah. And actually wait, I have a visual aid. I'll be right back.
Okay. So I'll explain what happens in the end. So, Rhaenyra, she's hanging out with the random girl. I'm completely blanking on her name. It's not Missandei, right?
Diana.
Diana. Her
The girl
name's
that Aegon raped.
what? Oh,
The
is
girl
that?
that Aegon raped
Oh
last
yeah.
the maid. She's now serving, so she probably hates Aegon and stuff.
Yeah.
So she'll probably like work some way to work
Yeah.
to
Yeah, it is like that.
Aiden's like this.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
we
know
have a
that.
great. This is what the battles of the House of the Dragon are like.
Huh? I like it.
Okay, yeah. So Diana and
Black
Rhaenyra,
Alice.
they're like Rhaenyra. You've been really nice to me. No one's really been nice to me. And then they hug, and then they kiss, and end of episode.
And and then obviously Rhaenyra goes out to meet Alan,
Yeah.
the bastard of who now has Sea Smoke. And what are your takes on like the whole kiss? Why do you think that happens exactly?
I don't know. I didn't really see it coming, personally. Maybe they can build something off of it, but I don't really see
I'd say more of like an emotional moment between the two, and nothing that like not definitely not having like a sort of relationship, just like a connection moment. That's what I see.
Yeah, that's probably a better way to say it. I don't think it doesn't feel like it's a relationship. It's more like they both confide in each other and they were both like having a moment like that, But I mean, they could build on the romance, and they might. That's definitely a plot line they could go for.
Yeah, but
Because I feel like that'd be good at like further separating Daemon from Rhaenyra, where it's like that builds more conflict.
Especially since Daemon and Mysario used to be together.
Yeah.
I can definitely see how that is something. But ultimately, did you talk about the whole Alicent and Helena stuff?
Oh no. Oh yeah, no, that was a good scene also. So it's
So essentially now that there's like now that Aemon has kind of turned the city against against himself kind of for not like feeding them, because we see how like he is becoming like another tyrant king. He might be like a good war commander, but he's like kind of a shitty king.
Yeah.
And so Allison really feels depowered, which I thought was kind of an interesting plotline, because in the books she's more of a ruthless kind of cunning, kind of witchy kind of person. Whereas like now I see how like she in the show she's more of like feels a woman who's been dethroned and depowered, you know?
Yeah.
And she goes up to Eamon essentially saying like, what have the have like the injustices of your like childhood been not avenged enough? How much do you have to go on this like war path? And it kind of shows this moment that like, you know, she was kind of like a bad mother raising her children. Like she did not do a good job, you know?
Yeah, she does also have that scene where she's talking to her brother, and her brother's like, yeah, your other son, he's doing fine. He's not like these two other terrible people.
And it's like I found that was my favorite scene of the whole episode, where it's like she talks to her brother about the whole thing. It's like, you know, he's grown kind, which is something interesting, and we will. I was hoping we were going to see him in season 2, but season 3, he's definitely the best fucking green in the book. He's such a cool ass nice guy, and he's definitely why the greens are, I guess, more empathetic. But now, because in the show we only get like the bad greens, you know,
Yeah.
Otto, Aegon, Aemond. He's like a nice green, whereas all like, you know, we see like a kinder side to him. And I felt that like really sad that, you know, ultimately being raised by you made them kind of shitty people.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna definitely see how that kind of follows along. Because, you know, the thing is also Gwen and her brother, she barely knows who her brother is, because like they grew far apart from each other.
Yeah.
And I felt like it sort of shows the symbolism of connection, and, you know, like distance and stuff like that. Like how like you can be family, but you can also be so far apart, just like this whole war is, you know? They're family, but no connection. And then eventually Allison is like almost like attacked by the riot of King's Landing.
Yeah,
When
that was one of my favorite scenes of the episode, where it's like you can see
you
the
talk,
true.
yeah.
Yeah, you can see that they're like in the middle of the sept to go pray, and that's when the ship of all the supplies came in. So everyone is now seriously pissed because they see that Rhaenyra does have food and is giving it to them, while the actual king and queen are doing nothing. So they get attacked in the streets trying to go back to the Red Keep, and like I think one of the guards gets like killed by the crowd just kicking them, where it's like you can see the power that a large group like that has, even if they're not like necessarily skilled. So it's showing like
And it's definitely
if you win the power
it's
of the
definitely
crowd, you can win the war, you know?
it's definitely showing how the small folk are gonna be a big factor in the war coming, you know?
Yeah.
And I thought that was really powerful. And but I'm gonna say this, unfortunately, I do feel back I feel
Yeah.
like this was the weakest episode of the season so far for me, because I feel like, yes, we get to see this thing, but it's like I feel like I gotta see some like more and more growth from some of the characters, because like a lot you can kind of base like every episode kind of been like Damon's at Harrenhal. Rhaenyra wants
It
to
needs
do
to
something,
stop
but she
fucking around in
can't.
Harrenhal. That's my thing. I don't think once this season I've cared about what's happening in Harrenhal.
Rhaenyra wants to do something, but she feels like she can't. You
But
know?
now she's finally
That's
doing something. She's going out on her dragon, so hopefully she starts
yeah.
doing stuff.
But I'm not saying it's a bad show. I think it's building up to probably two pretty good episodes, I assume, for the final. You know?
Yeah.
Uh,
I think we're gonna see
I
the
know
end of the Dance of Dragons this season.
this season.
Yeah. I feel like they can wrap it up in 2 episodes, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
what else is there left to adapt, you know? I feel like Rhaenyra actually just goes to King's Landing, and then like the bells start ringing, and like what if she just like burns the entire city down? That'd be cool.
Yeah. What if she goes up to Aemon and she's like, "I'm sorry, you can be king. I'll just stay here.
That'd be a good ending. Yeah, what if they should
I'll
just like
just
talk to each other and be like, what if we co-rule the kingdoms? What if we hold a vote and like all the citizens they vote?
wait." And then they say, But what about Ulf the Broken? Who has a better story?
Who
than
has a
Ulf?
better story than Ulf the Random?
Wait, Diana, you should be king.
Okay, guys, I think we should get into the big triple for the episode. We've had a lot of triples over the past few weeks because we've been going to way too many movies this summer.
I don't know if it's way too many movies this
We've been to
summer.
12
Been
movies.
like 12, Aiden.
Yeah,
That's
but
so
also
bad.
we also have 7 more this coming week.
I don't know if I actually want to do all 7. That sounds so painful.
We have.
Well, me and Harry will.
Yeah.
Gosh, my
Beck, what do you
wallet
mean
is
sounds
gonna be
painful?
dying.
Beck, just ask for more money.
Okay. Deadpool
Guys,
and Wolverine.
So
Yeah.
Aiden, as it's your favorite movie of the year, you can talk about the
It
plot.
is Aiden's favorite movie of the year.
Guys, I hate to say that it's changed to Deadpool, but you do understand.
Oh, I thought you were
right?
gonna say it was about to change again for a fourth time.
No. But you do understand why I think it's Deadpool, right?
Yes. This was one of the
this
funniest
movie-
movies I've seen all year.
This movie is Deadpool's with all of his friends, and he's like, wow, I love my friends. And then the TVA shows up and they're like, Deadpool, we need you to come with us. And then the guy from Succession is like, oi, Deadpool, you can go be on the sacred timeline.
You can
but
be in the
everyone
MCU.
you know be in the MCU, but everyone you know is gonna die. And he's like, no, I don't want. So let's not do the
very
sacred
clear
timeline
with this
thing.
message about who, Disney is the TVA basically, and they're trying to nuke the Fox universe.
He also wants to be important, and he tried to go talk to Happy Hogan in Earth 616, but he didn't become an Avenger. And then I don't know. And then then they're like, your Wolverine from Logan was actually in your universe the whole time. And he died, so your universe is dying anyways, but we're just going to kill it now. How about that? But we're giving you a shot to move. And he's like, no, I'm going to go find Wolverine. And so he steals the TVA tablet, and he goes to find Wolverine through the multiverse. And we got some cool Wolverine variant.
We got Henry Cavill Wolverine.
Okay,
Henry
but
Cavill Wolverine.
Aiden, you're skipping over one of the
guy
best scenes in the movie. When they play
We haven't gotten
when
there.
they play bye
We
bye.
literally haven't
It's
gotten
the
there
first
yet.
scene of the movie.
No,
That's the
he
opening
does-
credits.
Okay, sure.
So during
he
the
fights-
opening credits, he fights a bunch of TVA members using all the different adamantium skeleton bones in Wolverine's body, all to bye
Logan,
from
at Logan.
NSYNC. And the moment I was watching that, I was having so much fun, and I'm like, this is gonna be a peak movie.
Okay, so he does that, and then he goes and sees a bunch of funny Wolverine variants, like short Wolverine or 80s Wolverine when he has
Or
like the
Henry
stubs on his
Cavill
hand and hair.
Wolverine.
Yeah, Henry Cavill Wolverine, until he finds one in a bar and he's drunk as hell, and he's like, "You're gonna come with me," and he comes with him because he passes out because he drank so much. He's like, "Look, I found a Wolverine TVA. What are you gonna do about it?" And then he gets pruned. And so does Wolverine. And now they're in the void from Loki. And they're like, oh no, we're in the void. What are we going to do?
This is knockoff Mad Max.
Knockoff Mad Max. And then they fight each other next to the big fallen Fox Studios logo, which is pretty funny.
One very big problem I have with this movie is they have Deadpool fight Wolverine like 3 separate times. And I'm like,
and
why am I watching 2 characters whose whole thing is they can never take any damage or die fight each other? It's so pointless. I'm like, I know it's just gonna end with them both being fine and being like, guys, we have to work together. Every scene just felt so pointless, you know? Like there was no tension, there was no point to them fighting at all.
I definitely see that though. I can it can get a little tiresome the whole idea, but you know, The thing is,
It does look cool though.
it does look cool, and
I just didn't like any of them because it felt like there was no point, you know.
I feel like you get the message with one fight scene, and then you don't need to do like that many. But continuing.
But they fight, and then some Ravagers show up, and then this one guy, it's Chris Evans, and Deadpool's like, "Holy shit, Chris Evans, it's you, Captain America." He's gonna say the line, "Say Avengers Assemble," but then he says, "No, Flame on!" And guess who it is?
The Human Torch.
Flame, the Human Torch, Johnny Flame, played by Chris Evans, like from.
Yeah, because
And
like
it's
in
like,
2000s, he was in a Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, and you see it a mile away, but it is still really cool.
I didn't see it a mile away, and I thought it was.
I did not
really
see
cool.
it.
Really?
Yeah, I thought it was really. I didn't. And I thought it was gonna be Captain America.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, okay, I saw it a mile away. But I was like, whoa, that's so cool. And then Sabretooth shows up. Sabretooth's like, "I'm gonna kill you, Wolverine. Finally, there's a Wolverine in the void. I'm gonna kill you." And kills him. Then they get kidnapped by Toad. I don't remember who Toad is. Is he in any movie?
He's in X-Men 1. That's the movie you've seen.
Pyro, right? Was it Pyro?
No,
it was Pyro. No, Toad was also there.
Yeah, but it was really funny because like when he chops off the head, he makes a Furiosa reference, and we'd all seen Furiosa, so that was funny.
Yeah,
that was a pretty funny bit.
Yeah.
And then they go and they get kidnapped and they get taken to what's her face? Nova's.
No.
Casanova.
Yeah, Cassandra Nova.
Yeah.
Who is
Charles
the sibling?
Xavier's sister.
Do you want to know the only thing I know her from?
What?
It's the one panel of her as a fetus and Charles Xavier as a fetus fighting each other in the womb. It's a very funny panel.
That's pretty funny. She does make a thing where like, I tried to strangle him with an umbilical cord.
Yeah, here's what it looks like from the comics.
Yeah.
But Cassandra Nova's like, a Wolverine. Finally.
We never have any of you in here.
We have never have a Wolverine, and then they kill Chris Evans because it was a funny bit, and
they kill him in like a very gruesome way, where
he gets skinned alive immediately.
And that's where like the CGI was kind of weird in a bit way, because like that was purposeful, right? Because like it kind of looked, the CGI for like the blood thing, it kind of looked weird to me, right?
Because they can't have too much blood because it's Disney, you know.
Right, and so that was like kind of a funny joke.
No, because it would be rated M if there was too much blood.
Yeah,
they were. You could definitely tell they were holding back at a lot of points.
Yeah, but that's okay. It still felt good.
Yeah,
like it had all the same violence. He just didn't. This is just not as much words being said that were swears.
Yeah.
But then Casanova is like, you guys. I'm gonna kill you guys, and then they're like, "Nuh-uh," and then they escape. And then because Chris Evans told them about a thing at the end, the Borderlands, with a group of ragtag individuals who hope to get home as well. So they're gonna go find them, and Wolverine agrees to go because Deadpool says the TVA can fix his world that he'd fucked up somehow. And then they go and they find nice Wolverine and nice Deadpool and their Dogpool. And
I think that was a funny bit they did, where it was like this insanely annoying nice guy, and Deadpool just keeps wanting to steal his dog.
That is a pretty funny bit. I dropped something. Hold on. But he lends them their car. I also have those.
They both did buy keychains, and neither one of them gave me half.
No.
Why didn't you buy one, Beck?
I don't know. I thought I was gonna get a free one because each of you would give me one half.
No, I'm not gonna give it to you anymore.
No.
But they take Nice Pool's car and they're driving.
A Honda
and
Odyssey. A very important detail because that was set up earlier.
But Deadpool accidentally spills the beans that he doesn't know if the TVA can fix Wolverine's world, and he says it was an educated wish. And they fight each other in the car, and a second from The Greatest Showman plays.
I know that. I think I did get it spoiled like that on the track list. They had The Greatest Showman, so I was ready for it to happen, and I think it was really funny when they did it.
I didn't even register it because I've registered that film out of my mind because I hate that movie. So, but that fight scene was cool, and they fight in the car, and the car gets taken, and then they wake up, and then guess who we see? We see Elektra, played
by Jennifer Garner.
Jennifer Garner,
what
and we
was
see
she from? I still
Elektra.
don't know.
Elektra from her own movie.
Her own movie?
Yeah,
Yes.
Daredevil's in that one. That's why they mentioned Daredevil.
I cannot. What was it called?
Elektra.
My mind's blown. I did not know there was an Elektra movie.
And Wesley Snipes' Blade shows up, which is really cool because Wesley Snipes fucking hates Ryan Reynolds. And then Channing Tatum as Gambit shows up, and that's really cool because he was supposed to play Gambit in X-Men Origins, and then he didn't, but now he's back. And that's pretty cool. And Gambit's pretty cool in there.
Because he just has a heavy French accent, and that's the... you can never hear a thing he says.
Not French. It's something else.
It's French.
It's not French.
No,
it might be. It's probably
it
French,
is 100% French.
Gambit is French, but it's not a French accent.
It is he's French and he's a French accent. It's not that complicated.
It's not a French accent, dude.
Oh my god.
But then X-23 from Logan shows up, and she's like, "I'm the one that brought." And it's like, "Whoa, X-23 from Logan." I saw this movie for it to have more of a
Logan, but I know what happens in it.
I also know that Wolverine dies.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you mentioned this, but this is like the whole thing where it's all like, he was the anchor beam of the Deadpool.
I did say that. Yeah.
Oh, okay, but it was like, I thought it was like they did it in like a really interesting way where it's like, you think like after Logan, you're like, why would Hugh Jackman come back as Wolverine? But I thought it was like a really nice kind of like appreciation for Logan, actually enhanced Logan, because this is not the same Wolverine; it's a different Wolverine.
It's a new Wolverine, yeah.
I thought it was
I do think the anchor being was meant to represent how Wolverine kind of carried the Fox X-Men universe, and when he died, the whole universe died. There's a ton of like fourth wall breaky like stuff with like the theme and everything,
which is very impressive, actually. Being able to rope the fourth wall breaks of like your plot, real world things, real people things, all woven together to make like a cohesive thing.
Yeah.
While being meta commentary on itself is very impressive.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool that they did a lot of those jokes, not just like saying them to the camera, like, but they actually kind of like subtly hinted at that, which was really cool.
Yeah.
And I think it really enhanced kind of the Logan story in a way, I thought.
Yeah.
At least.
But and then Logan and what's her face, X-23 have a conversation, and he's like, "Wow, Logan, you're important." And he's like, "No, all of my friends are dead, and then I killed everybody, and I destroyed my world, basically." And she's like, "Yeah, but nah." And then it's okay. And then they all go and they fight the Casanova, and we get a cool fight scene, and then they get and they need the Juggernaut helmet to put on her because it's like the metal that stops Xavier brainwaves.
Yep.
And then they put it on her, and they almost kill her, but then they're like, "No, we're gonna save you because you bring us home." And they get Doctor Strange portaled back home, and then they go home, and then they're home, and then actually, the Succession guy is gonna destroy the universe still. But then Nova comes through, and she's like, actually, I'm going to destroy the universe. And then she takes him down, and then they have to fight 1,000,000,000 billion Deadpools.
Yeah.
And then they get a cool 1,000,000,000 billion Deadpool fight. And then they all regenerate, and then Peter shows up, and everyone's like, "Yeah, Peter,
Yeah, Peter the goat.
Woo! Peter the goat," because all the Deadpools have a Peter apparently, so they all hang out with Peter, and then they go and they gotta go stop Casanova, but by sacrificing themselves.
By sacrificing one of them. One of them has to sacrifice
Who
their
has to-
life to connect the beams.
Yeah, because antimatter and matter don't mix, and they'll be atomized. Which this isn't how it happened, but like Wolverine and Deadpool can be atomized.
Well,
Like that can happen to them. They can come back from that little.
not if every atom has to be destroyed, and that's what I think they were saying, you know?
I thought it was like all their atoms would be just broken apart, like for like.
Well,
But they
it's
can-
something
they
where
can-
they die even with their healing factor.
Well, I thought they were gonna come back because they can survive atomization.
No.
But they actually survive because they hold hands.
They hold hands,
they're
and
friends.
Madonna is playing, and it's hype.
And then the
Casanova
TVA
dies.
comes and arrests Tom Wamsgams, and
yeah, and
they
they're
do
like,
that.
I need you to go run this company. And they send him
Yeah.
off into the spin-off show.
Yeah.
and
But
then
then Wolverine goes to Deadpool's universe and they hang out.
and he's gonna live there now with him. And then Deadpool, because this whole thing is like Deadpool wanted to show that he's part of a bigger kind of thing to prove to Vanessa that he can do this. And like you get a little hint at the end of the movie that they're probably gonna get back together, and that's really cute and nice. And that's
It was good to have a movie about Deadpool that wasn't revolving around their relationship.
Yep.
And we'll get into like what
I think the best part of the movie was all just like the random jokes they had that it's not really something you could like talk about on a podcast really or like in a review. It's just a lot of just funny jokes throughout the entire runtime.
Like even not like all the fourth wall break jokes were super funny. Like there was a Will Smith slap joke that like I think went over a lot of people's heads, but was still like, oh, that's pretty funny that they did that.
Yeah, and so but if I were to rank the movie, I say I still like the first Deadpool the best for me. Then Deadpool and Wolverine, then Deadpool 2 is how I would rank the movies.
I think I'd go 3, 1, 2.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. We all have different. Just because I don't know, I watched 1 and 2 the day before going.
Yeah.
And those are both good movies.
But I'm getting the sense that people, I think they find it to be the least favorite Deadpool is what I'm
seeing people hate this movie.
I don't know why, because if you go to the Letterboxd reviews, people are loving this, but some people just hate it for some reason. I don't know why.
I'm just like seeing online that people do not like this movie. Like they didn't enjoy it. I've heard people call it slop. Just because it's like a cameo fest.
Bro, look at this. These are like insanely high ratings. Yeah. People like this movie. This is not a bad movie.
Like, but for what it is, being a movie that is like a spiritual successor to all of the Fox movies that came before it, while being the introduction to these Fox characters in the MCU universe.
Yeah.
Like having all that together. It's really good at what it's supposed to be doing.
And it's because, like, what other character other than Deadpool could do that, you know? Like,
right, because he's the fourth wall break guy.
Yeah, and so it makes total sense.
One they can.
And because it does feel like a nice conclusion to that portion of the universe that we saw, you know?
Even all of Fox history.
Yeah.
Because every character they pull, like, all the cameo characters are from different things.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. Like they have Fantastic Four, they have the Elektra movie, they have Blade, they have Channing Tatum,
Gambit.
whatever.
Gambit.
They have Gambit, they have Juggernaut.
It's
cool. It's cool.
Yeah.
I found it to be really fun and cool, and like the jokes are great. And I'm gonna say, I really liked it. For me, the Deadpool one just has more of a classic vibe for me, but I really enjoy this one. And I'm gonna say. Probably, I really like the Deadpool part of the story. Wolverine is probably a little less because, like, you know, we've already seen a lot of Wolverine and Logan before, but I still really enjoyed their kind of his character, and I love the buddy cop kind of vibe of this movie. You know,
Yeah,
like I
that's
love
what I
that was
really
great.
liked, that it was a buddy cop movie. Like I felt it was good.
Yeah, my problem with the
But
first Deadpool is like I can't really remember anything that really happens in it. You know, like it just kind of felt like
it's
very
it's an
confusing
origin
plot
story.
line to me. You know.
I'd say like one thing is I wish that the other characters were in it more, like just like from the first two movies. And like even in like the big family gathering ones, like important characters like Russell or Cable or Domino weren't there. And it's
Yeah.
like, why weren't you there?
Yeah, and I think that have are Deadpool and like Wolverine like because we all know because of like, the X-Men stuff, are they as that linked in the comics as well? I don't know.
I could not give you comics history.
I couldn't either.
Yeah, I
I
wonder.
thought Deadpool was kind of his own guy.
Yeah, I thought Wolverine was
Like,
also kind of his own like guy, also part of X-Men though.
yeah, he's a little bit of both. Oh, I mean, they work together sometimes. I mean, like X-Force is definitely a thing,
Yeah,
and there's like a handful of characters on X-Force.
but
I don't know.
yeah, ultimately, really enjoyable movie. I'm gonna have to say, just kind of fun. It's definitely not like the top of the top for me, but it was just like a really fun time I had, and that's like what the Deadpool's really give me. The movies, those Deadpool movies, they give me a really fun time, you know, and good jokes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But
I
before we
definitely
move
like
on,
see this movie again in theaters. Like I enjoyed
I
watching it.
will be seeing it at least 2 more times in
I might
theaters.
see
That
it
I know.
one more time or something, but
I think you need to see it 4 more times so you can beat my
I
record.
probably won't. But I do want to talk about this one tweet that I found that made me really angry.
Oh my god, Aiden.
No,
Aiden
because
is
it
getting
was
mad at some guy on Twitter. No.
so they're saying, I'm just gonna go through. They did not like the movie, like at all.
Wow.
They said it was catastrophic. They start with it was approximately 19 hours, doesn't have time for plot or any jokes or emotional beats or visually interesting moments or much of anything. Immediately, everything they just said was wrong.
One point, it was not visually interesting.
That's true. It does happen in like fields and deserts
Yeah.
and snow.
It does
I
not
suppose
have good
that's true.
cinematography. It just looks like a normal MCU movie does, and none of
Yeah.
those like are that visually interesting.
Yeah, but I don't know why they said it was 19 hours long. It's a pretty short Marvel movie. It's only 2 hours long.
Yeah.
They say the biggest problem with the whole thing can be summed up by the fact that it sincerely thinks its greatest transgression is defiling Logan's corpse. Intellectual property is as sacred as it gets.
Hmm.
I don't know about that because I think they make it a funny joke that they mess up his corpse
Yeah.
rather than
I'm gonna say
it being sincere.
I
do.
think actually, I do think it actually. I'm gonna go out. I think it kind of respected Logan more actually because it showed that Logan was the one. He was
Yeah.
the guy.
Yeah.
And this is a bad Logan. Like he's ruined his universe. You know.
Yeah, they call him the worst Logan. Like they definitely have respect for him, except for this specifically.
Yeah.
Deadpool makes like 100 jokes about getting canceled by the woke mob,
He
but I
does
don't
do
think
that.
he even does that. He does it once.
He does it like
one
3 times.
3 times. That's
Okay,
not
it's not
100 times.
I mean, I thought like the first time was funny, but when he did like a second and a third time, I was like, it's not that funny.
Well, it's the rule of threes.
Okay, but it wasn't like set up.
Yeah, okay. There's a joke about the Will Smith Oscar slap that leaves a lot of silence for a big laugh, but the theater was literally pin drop silent.
What joke was that? Because I don't remember it.
Yeah.
When he sticks like the arm of Deadpool into one of the TVA members, he says, "Keep my friend's bone out of your fucking face."
Ah.
And then he pulls it out. But that's also the end of the fight. So like of course there's silence when there's less fight.
Yeah.
They say that it's barely a movie, and they're not clear why Hugh Jackman is in it. For a title character, his role is largely to hang around and say, "Shut up, Deadpool! Stop making jokes." to be honest, it's not like Deadpool is the main character either. There kind of isn't a main character or meaningful conflict or arc of any kind.
That is like categorically wrong.
Yeah.
Like, but
Like I don't.
both have an arc technically, and I feel like it's
Mhm.
2 co-leads.
Yeah. I don't know. They say that Deadpool mostly speaks in Twitter memes, which he only says 2 times. He really only says "let this man" and
Yeah.
take the L like 1 time.
He does say "let this man cook."
But it was funny though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's how he would talk.
Yeah.
They really
yeah.
didn't like the cameos. They kind of like people really thought they were like pointless, but I do think like all the cameos do have like greater importance.
Yeah,
I would say
like
so.
all the
Like Johnny Flame is set up. That one's set up as a bit. Like
it is a funny bit.
like Deadpool when he gets brought to the TVA, he's like, "Oh my god, I get to hang out with Captain America, who's played by Chris Evans. That's gonna be so cool." And then Chris Evans shows up. He's like, "Holy shit, it's Captain America!" But then it's Johnny
Wait,
Flame.
we never got
So
paid off for the Thor thing.
That's fine, but like they make it into a bit, but then it gets changed into like a cool, "Hey, that's awesome," and then he's used for exposition and then more jokes, and then later even he's used as like a drive for the other cameo characters who were
Yeah.
there to like help fight against the big bad. And like someone like Juggernaut, he's there because they need to. That's important. And X-23 is there because she helps further Logan's character. And then Elektra's there because she had her own movie. And Blade is there because it's funny because Wesley Snipes hates Ryan Reynolds.
Holy shit, it is a real movie. Elektra 2005. I have never heard of this movie before.
Wow.
But like I really did like the movie a lot. And I don't really know why people don't like it.
I think people are trying to expect something like greater for like what it's kind of worth. Because I thought like because the story is like kind of pretty simple throughout the whole movie. It's not-
That's true.
But that's Deadpool.
Then like
All the
yeah.
movies have been really simple, and I think people are trying to expect like a greater kind of a thing coming into the Marvel universe. But I thought this is as best you can try to bridge a gap between a meta character and the X-Men universe. You know, but I think
And
people,
it's just a very nice tribute movie, I think.
yeah.
Like with the post credits, like the end credits, having the whole like just blooper reel and interview like the cast of all of the old X-Men.
That made me
and-
feel like it's such an ender of that era movie, you know?
Yeah.
That
Yeah. Like I don't know. It felt like a cap on everything.
yeah.
And I think that's as good as it could be.
Yeah. I mean
Like,
there's a
Caleb
few
said,
moments
but-
in the movie that I don't quite like, but I mean like it's overall it's a really enjoyable buddy cop movie with Deadpool, you know? So
Yep.
I think that's all we really have to say on that.
Yeah.
What's your
I
transition?
didn't really like Johnny Flame though.
Yeah, that was
He-
because I really love the moment because like the post credit scene reference that they actually did say all those mean things about
Yeah.
Casanova.
Yeah.
I thought
that
that
he
was
got
really-
killed for. There's this song that I really like that has Johnny Flame in it actually.
Is it Ring of
called-
Fire?
No, it's called I Burn.
Yo.
I Burn, which is the theme of Yang Xiaolong.
From
RWBY.
RWBY. RWBY can now leave the podcast.
Do you like that transition?
I love
I've
that
been
transition.
thinking about it since he showed up in the movie because I really wanted to turn to you and say it's the guy from Yang's theme.
Bro,
But I
I
don't
turned
think
to
you
you
know.
for Pyro and said, "Yo, it's Cinder from RWBY."
I know, but that one's not like whatever. Anyway, we finished RWBY and then watched 2 RWBY movies.
We did finish RWBY Volume 9, and let me just
Yep.
say, this season has some of the best of RWBY and some of the
Yes.
worst of RWBY.
Yeah.
So let me just say, I fucking hated the setting of this. I
Yep,
fucking
that's
hated.
fair.
like all the new stuff they tried to introduce. I hated the whole style. It didn't feel like RWBY at all. It was so confusing. So many random new characters got introduced 9 seasons in that I don't care about. They try to add like 4 more lore explanations for the fucking gods that we did not need more backstory on. It is like one of the most like confusing settings I've like ever been a part of.
And then everything else is amazing.
Yeah, basically. Like, they just go
So-
fucking around in these random settings with characters I do not care about. And then once John shows up, the plot and character development actually happens.
And it gets super good.
It does.
Like, the only character I don't like in this season is RWBY, just because she's super depressed.
He is going through a PTSD arc this season.
She's going through a PTSD arc, but then that like kind of helps us for later seasons, so she doesn't have to go through it in later seasons.
Yeah.
And affect actual characters. But like
Okay.
RWBY is just like sad that they've lost everything.
They have
And they
lost
lost
everything.
Penny.
I do think one of the most powerful moments, mostly just because of me, is when she finds Penny's sword. I'm like, I
Yeah.
felt that. Oh, that was a
And
really
then she,
sad
like,
scene.
And then she gives it to somebody and says that it's a weapon of the most powerful warrior that she's
I
ever
know.
known.
And then he fucking throws it away, and I want him to die in fire.
Yeah, that's fair. But
You-
what actually happens? How about you explain up to Jean, and then I'll explain
Oh,
past
guys,
that.
they're in a book, and the book is basically Alice in Wonderland.
Okay, they aren't in a book. They fall
They
into a world
onto a
that
world
is
from a book.
not from a book, Beck. It is what the book
It
is
is what
based
the
on.
book is based on. See, guys, this is why I hate the setting.
Because you don't get it?
I get the setting, but it's hard to explain, Aiden.
It is they go to a world, and this world is something that they've read about in a fiction book, but then they're like, oh wait, it's real, like every other story that they've ever read.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
it's the same one that they bring up in volume 8, which is very cool.
Okay, yes. So, all 4 of Team RWBY, they land, and they all meet up together. They have to get their weapons, and they meet this little mouse called Little, and they're like, okay, well, if
The mouse doesn't have a name.
isn't the mouse Little?
No, the mouse doesn't have a name.
Really? They
Well,
call
no,
him
yeah,
Little.
Yeah, they call her Little because she doesn't have a name.
Okay, well, I'm gonna call her Little then. Okay,
Alright, fine.
so
Whatever.
they meet Little. And like, okay, so if the world from the story is real, we just have to do what the characters in the story did to get out. So they go and they have to go beat this king in a battle, but he's now a prince? What? Why is he like that? And they beat him, and the king gets mad and wants to kill them, but a cat shows up and helps them out.
Yeah.
And the cat's like, I can help you get to the tree. We need to
Because
go.
the tree is gonna bring him home.
Yeah,
Because
but
that's what happened in the story.
yeah. But all Weiss, Yang, and Blake are small because they were pieces in the chess game, so they need to get big again. So they have to go make a potion. So they go and they go to a swamp and they meet this guy, and the guy makes them trip on drugs. And then he falls into the floor, and the cat's like, yeah, the tree eats people when they stray too far from their destined purpose. And
Yeah,
I am
but you
so
forgot to say that.
yeah.
You forgot to say that the drug thing was like cool character building.
It
stuff,
was cool character building. It was
where they all like reaffirm who they are as characters.
yeah, they
They're like,
both
yeah,
face like who they think or like what the drug makes, like basically who they've said they wanted to be. Basically
and
like
who they are.
like Yang with both arms, Weiss not having the Shani name. Somehow Blake being human was like, yeah. But then they're all like, no, I like who I am right now. But Ruby is like, I don't know if I like who I am right now. So that's
Yeah.
kind of building her thing for the season. Um, But since the guy gets eaten into the hole, they go to a market, and the market has all the stuff they need to make the ingredients for the
To make
potion.
them big.
And they go make the potion, and Team RWBY is all full size again. But these really creepy
Well, back.
shadow men.
Not full size. Penny isn't there, so
Penny's not Team RWBY.
Penny is not in Team RWBY, Uri. Why do you think it's called Team RWBY? Because RWBY, it corresponds to each of their names. There's no P. She doesn't even have a team. It's sad. She should have a team. It should be called Platinum.
That's not bringing up that she's dead.
You are, and guess what? This season does do that a lot, and it was hard to watch because it was really sad.
Were you sniffling?
Wow. Okay, so they have to go make the potion, but these evil monsters come, and if they eat you, the tree can't make you come back to life. So people are really scared of them. But then some random knight comes in from the story.
The rusted knight.
A rusted knight. And then they go and they fight and they fend them off, but now they have to run away. They run away and they're like, "Who are you, rusted knight?" And he takes off the mask, and it's
Jean.
Yeah, guess what? Aiden's favorite character's back. Mine's not.
Yeah, but he's old now. Ew. But he's like, "I've been here for so long waiting for you." He found a clock, and then the clock rewound time like a lot. So then he was stuck in the past, and he waited for them, and he aged. He's like 30 something, I assume.
Yeah.
But he's older now, and he's been there for a long, long time.
And let me just say, that's one of my favorite parts I like about the season, is I like when stories use like time to hurt characters. Like him being stuck for 30 years is like really
by himself with the knowledge that everything fell apart.
Yeah, and it was yeah.
Like Team RWBY, they were able to bounce off each other for all this. Like Jean's just been there for him forever by himself.
I thought that was a really good direction to go with this character. Like I really felt for him.
Like Jean is just like the tragic character of the series.
Yeah.
Right, like I'd say like RWBY is the most tragic, but like I feel like Jean's gone through a little bit more.
Yeah.
But Jean is like, "Hey, I showed up here, and then I realized this is actually the story, and Alex from the story showed up, but also her brother was here, and then I realized I'm the Rusted Knight, and things happened, and Alex poisoned me, and they left, and I never saw them again."
But they went with the cat, so Jean doesn't like the cat.
He doesn't trust the cat, and so they're walking. They're like, "Okay, we're gonna my village that I stay in." They go to the village, but then like a thinking storm happens.
Yes.
And like brainstorm or whatever. And so Weiss, RWBY, Jean, and the cat get stuck in like this maze, whatever thing. And Yang and Blake are on the lesbian bridge.
Let me tell you something. This is like one of my favorite scenes of the season, and it's also the first actually good romantic moment between Yang and Blake. Like I did not give a fuck about their relationship at all. I thought it had no development, but then this scene I'm like, okay, this is really good for them.
This scene is basically they're both like suspended above void on like a bridge that like they connect to a platform, but they're both on either side and they can't move forward steps. So the whole metaphor is they need to take the next step in their relationship. So they kind of just have to because they kind of forgot about it because they're trying to keep it a weird secret for some reason. So they finally like do it. And I think it almost makes up for it. Like considering they forgot about it makes the scene better.
I guess, yeah. And they also play some really good music during it.
That's true. And then RWBY, Weiss, Jean, and the cat kind of reveals some shit and that he is actually evil. And they're like, "Uh-oh, the cat's evil. That's bad. Get out of here, cat." The cat actually killed Alex.
This is like, you're jumping 2 episodes ahead, basically.
No, it's the same. It's right there. It's fine.
Okay,
Doesn't matter,
but then
doesn't matter.
they both get out of the storm at the same time, and then Ruby
Yeah.
sees Yang and Blake kissing, and then she gets really pissed.
Yeah.
And then blows up at the entire team, and then runs away.
No, that's later. We forgot about an important part in which Jean brings them to the village and is like, "Hey guys, we live in this village. Every day I have to make sure people die." And that's
You
and so
cut
he has
out,
to
but
go
you
do-
cut out the entire bunch. It's like my entire job is to make sure people
Make sure
die.
people-
Yeah, well, he has to make sure the people of the village do not die.
Do not
because he
die.
doesn't
Just
want
to be
them
clear,
die.
he's not killing these
because
people.
because he thinks like the tree reincarnate just kills them, which they all think that until like the little villagers tell Team RWBY, they're like, "Hey, if we die, we'll come back and that'll be cool." But John doesn't trust the cat and what the cat told him, so he doesn't really trust anything. But also, he has a really cool character moment later, so it's okay. But Jean actually finds Crescent Rose and gives it to RWBY.
But she doesn't
is
want to
very
take
cool.
it.
She doesn't want to take it,
Um,
which sucks. But he tries to save the villagers, but then they all die because he got distracted, and he starts getting mad, and he gets mad at RWBY. He's like, "RWBY, this is your fault." They're like, "Hey, you didn't even need to protect them," and he's like, "Oh yeah, well it was the only thing I could protect," because Jean has been like, he has just a sword and a shield and is just a guy, basically. His semblance doesn't help them in combat. He's just kind of there. He wants to help, but he can't help. And then he finds this village where he can help. And after shit has gone so horribly wrong and thinks he can actually do good, he tries to do good for as long as he can, but then everything goes to shit, and then he lashes out at RWBY, and then RWBY runs away after lashing out at everyone.
and then we have the Neo episode.
So Neo
Now,
has also been here. the
Aiden
whole
did tell
time.
me before I watched this season that Neo psychologically bullies RWBY so hard, and this
Yeah.
episode is where it happens.
So RWBY is like, maybe I should join the tree, and Neo comes in with a psychological a fun house where we see her backstory, and then the guy from the first first 3 seasons, Roman Torchwick. He's actually
We got
there.
his name
And
right this time, guys.
Yeah. Roman Torchwick, he's like, "Oh, RWBY, you thought I'd be gone. I am back, RWBY." And everyone else is back, and you see everyone died that was. You see Penny, you see Pyrrha, you see
Penny.
Leo Lionheart, you see Ozpin, you see James Ironwood, and you see who's the last character that's there that I forgot? And Clover is also there for some reason.
Clover is there.
And Roman's like, "Look at everyone who's died. This is because of you, RWBY. It's all your fault." And then they'll attack RWBY, and RWBY's like, "Man, I should just kill myself." And then Neo's like, "Oh, you should do that. Cup, that will kill you."
But no, it's
And
like,
then
no, she's like, you don't deserve to die. You deserve to have your entire memory erased.
Yeah,
It's too good for you.
Because Neo hates RWBY because she killed Roman Torchwick because she's in love with Roman Torchwick.
He is in love with Roman Torchwick.
Yeah, which they didn't set up, but it does make the Chibi series a little bit funnier. Then everyone shows up. They're like, "RWBY, you're gonna die!" And then Little gets stepped on, and Little dies. And then everyone's like, "No!" And then they all fight Shadow. And then Penny fights John, and John has a flashback, and it's like, "No, everyone is dead. Oh no!" And then Neo gets RWBY to die, and then Neo just kind of like realizes that she killed RWBY and has no life purpose anymore, and then gets possessed by the cat.
Because the cat is evil, and wants to go to Remnant.
To kill everything. Something, I don't know.
So now they have to go to the tree. So
get RWBY back.
They go back to it was basically the town of paper people, the one John was trying to protect. And now they're all crystal people, and they survive all the terrible stuff that John was protecting them from. And he was like, oh, maybe the tree was a good thing. And then them realizing that lets them teleport to the tree. And they
because
find
RWBY
RWBY.
was only like where you could find it or whatever.
Yeah, and they find RWBY, and then RWBY is like in a cocoon from the tree, and she's basically deciding, do I want to be myself? Because I'm in my PTSD arc.
And she gets some backstory on her mom, which doesn't really matter.
All the backstory got was that the mom went on a big mission, and yeah,
but she was with Raven.
She was with Raven. That was a big thing.
Yeah, which is not that important, but it does play into the movies a little bit.
All right.
But RWBY finally decides to be herself after she thinks about it for a little
And
bit,
then they all fight the cat.
They all fight the Neo cat, and the Neo gets reborn.
Different than Neon Cat. Keep that in mind.
That's a different character.
That's a different
Neo Cat. And then they kill the cat and they free Neo, and then Neo becomes part of the tree because she doesn't know what's up anymore with life.
Yeah.
Because she killed RWBY finally, and then she's like, "Well, I'm done with everything." And then they all make it back to Remnant.
And then the best episode of the
and also Jean becomes.
Yes, this I felt was kind of stupid. Where they have
it kind of felt stupid, but also it kind of will be okay.
I mean, I think they wanted it to be more natural that he was hanging out with teenagers.
Yeah, I do think though it's gonna kind of mess him up with everyone else.
It does mess him so up. I don't know how. They're probably just gonna write it off. Like just be like, oh, he's fine. He's just normal Jean.
Yeah, because he does have 20 years of life experience now. I don't know how they're gonna do that.
Yeah,
that's weird.
But then the best episode of the show happens.
Yeah, but it doesn't actually exist.
So
it is an animatic of us, like a supposed finale ending.
So there was supposed to be an episode 11, but the whole thing was that the company that made this show blew up in 2023, so they had no money to make episode 11, but they uploaded the animatics of it, and they uploaded it online, and I watched it, and I think it's one of the best episodes of the show. I loved it.
It's everyone's made it to Vacuo after Volume 8, and things are bad, but like things are looking better, and it's just like everyone speaking exposition, like good, nice exposition to the graves of like RWBY's team and Jean.
Yeah,
and it's very cool.
And you gotta really see, like, the one thing I didn't really like about the season is we got to see none of the side characters, who are kind of my favorite part of the show.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why the season wasn't really one of my favorites. But I think this one was great. You got to see really all the characters make a lot of growth, have really emotional moments, really build up to season 9, where it's like showing them all kind of working together in Vacuo and how much trouble they're in, and how everyone in Vacuo is still going through a lot. Like Winter has to deal with being the Winter Maiden. Nora is really stressed about having to protect everyone
and trying to figure out who she is still.
Yeah, and Crow lost basically his 2 daughters, so that he's going through a lot. Yeah, so I just, and I really like you have like Oscar in this, where it's like he and Ozpin are both trying to fight the thing, but it's kind of inevitable that Ozpin kind of takes over. So yeah, that felt like a really cool scene.
And then it does end with Team RWBY and Jean coming back, but they come through Raven's portal,
which
and Raven's also
really weird. Which is probably
we'll see like actually what happens in Volume 10, which I 100% think will exist since it's gotten picked up.
Yeah, they would not buy it if they did not plan on making Volume 10. So I pray that Volume 10 does happen, because I am so invested in this show now.
I can see it coming out in the next 2 years.
Please, God, give it to me as soon as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Volume 9 is like one of the best seasons of the show.
For me, it's hard to say, because it doesn't have some of my favorite parts of the show, but I do think it is one of the best, like, well-written parts. It just doesn't.
I think like
it doesn't have Crow, Penny. It doesn't have any of the cool settings. It doesn't have a lot of cool stuff like that.
I think like one thing that was really interesting that I hope they kind of keep is like because it was only Team RWBY with none of the other side characters, they kind of had to combine a couple like characteristics from some other characters to make the dynamics work. Like Weiss is the comedy relief character.
She is not meant to be the comedy.
She's not meant to be the comedic relief character. She is the snobby, stuck-up bitch. And it's super funny that she's the comedic relief character. And it's like the best her character has ever been.
I do want you to realize I went from like Volume 9 into Ice Queendom, and that was like Season 1 Weiss. These are completely different characters. It's so crazy. Like, they would hate talking to each other.
Yeah, but like, it's the best Weiss has ever been in Volume 9. She's super funny. They like kind of lean into it in Volume 7 and 8, but like actually do it in Volume 9 because she's the only one that's there. Like, some of
RWBY can't be the normal comic relief because she's going through a PTSD arc, and Blake and Yang have to build up the relationship that they've done nothing about. So Weiss needs to be comic relief.
And John's carrying all the emotion.
And then John is also going through a PTSD arc, so everyone's depressed. They're like, okay, we need to make Weiss funny.
And Weiss is really funny. She has like super exaggerated everything.
Okay, but you do have to also realize Weiss should also be going through a PTSD arc. Her entire city got destroyed, so they decide to make up for it in one of the movies.
Yep, but she's still really funny though.
It's still really funny.
Like, some of the best moments are from Weiss. Like, there's this, like, once Jean shows up, everyone's like, "Oh my god, Jean, you're here. How are you here? Why do you look so?" And she's like, "Mature." And it's just funny as hell.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason they give her the one-liners. She doesn't have to have the one-liners. That's Yang's thing, but they give it to Weiss, and it's hilarious.
Yeah, I just want to say this feels like the least RWBY season of RWBY. Like, it doesn't feel like RWBY when I watched it.
No.
Yeah.
But it is really good.
It's really good, but it just doesn't feel like RWBY.
Yeah. Well, maybe that kind of feeds into it, you know. Why is it so good, Beck?
No, I didn't like a lot of the parts of it, Uri, because it didn't feel like RWBY. My favorite episode of the season was the one that has like no connection to this season at all.
But it was really good, and we'll see what happens from there. But we do have 3 other RWBY things to talk about, so.
Dude, really.
Well, I have one.
Also, you're gonna talk about it?
No, I'll talk about it next time.
Good. Okay.
Yeah, so
DC movies.
Yeah.
Now, I do want to say we did talk about this podcast a bit before. How I saw like this show up in my Max feed, and I'm like, this is like the stupidest crossover I could ever think of. And then I finally watched it, and it is the stupidest crossover I could ever think of.
It's pretty mediocre. Not really
it's
much.
Bad. Aiden, we can call it bad.
It is pretty bad, but I still enjoyed it.
Yeah. I mean, the first one, I can't tell you what the fuck happens in it. Like,
well, the superheroes get sent to Remnant.
Which superheroes?
The DC superheroes.
Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Cyborg, and Vixen.
Vixen, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know who she is.
No Hawkgirl.
No, it's like newer Justice League characters.
Yeah.
Like it's Jessica Cruz Green Lantern.
Yeah, and I have never seen Jessica Cruz Green Lantern, but she was the best part of this movie.
Yeah, and you know why? You know why she was the best part of the movie?
John? Is that what you're gonna say?
Because she was with John the whole time.
Wow.
Oh. Anyway, this movie is very weird for like the first entire part of it
Do
because
they change like the style of the superheroes to be in the style of RWBY or
They
what?
make
yes,
no,
and
they
they
make
look
them teenagers.
terrible. Yep, and it looks
So
terrible.
they have Batman, who's like a fucking 40-year-old in like DC, hitting on Weiss, who's like 16.
Yeah, but she's into it. She's fine with it.
That's not okay, Aiden. That's like if fucking Jean was hitting on like someone. He's like 30 years old mentally. It's not alright.
I'm gonna send a tweet about Aiden that we're gonna kick you out.
That's fine. But it's weird. Like they're like, oh, we're actually in a simulation. That's why things from volume 1 through 7 are actually happening.
Yeah,
Why is
guess
Oz
who
still
from
alive? He
volume
should be a
1 through
little
7 is
boy.
not there?
Penny.
Yeah.
You know who is though? Pura. Because while everyone goes to fight bad guys or fight Batman, Jean goes with Jessica Cruz to find her ring. Because
She
without
really
her ring,
needs the ring.
because that's how Green Lantern works. You need the ring for the power.
But she has a
But she's like, I
semblance.
can't act. Yeah, but she has a semblance now. But she's like, I can't activate my semblance because I don't have my ring, and I need my ring for power. So let's go find the ring. So Jean and her go to find the ring, but then she does. They don't find the ring, and she gets trapped in the void. And we have like a moment where it's like, hey, it's okay that you don't have your powers. I don't really have powers. I can heal people, but it took me a long time to figure that out. And we get good John stuff, more good John stuff, which is awesome. And then Pura shows up, and then John gets PTSD. They really like to torture Jean.
They do. And it's
Yeah, and he's like, Pura, you're not supposed to be here. Pura, you're dead. And she's like, no, Jean, it's okay. I'm here. Okay. And they hug, and then she traps them in a room, and then the room closes on them. But Jessica Cruz gets her semblance because of friendship.
yeah.
Whatever. They fight the bad guy, and the bad guy is
Some guy named Kilgore, who I'd never heard of
yeah.
before.
I think he's a Flash villain. I'm not really sure. They really like to do Flash. They did a lot of Flash stuff.
They did, and they literally did call an hour. It's like, yeah, these are a lot of Flash villains.
Yeah. But anyway, Kilgore was actually possessing Flash the whole time, and then they beat him to death, and then he leaves the simulation, and then
I was working with
leaves.
some guy.
Some
He says
guy.
that, and we're like, okay, who's the some guy? Who are male villains in the RWBY universe? I can think of two, and one of them is a dumbass with a tail. So I don't think it's
one
that
of them
guy.
is dead.
And one of them is a guy who does a lot of tech stuff, and it's a simulation. And the thing is, I didn't realize he was dead, so it's so obviously this guy.
You didn't realize he was dead? He burned in Atlas. He crashed in Atlas.
I don't remember that.
Oh my god! It's when Cinder is like, hey, don't worry, I took care of Atlas, and it's on fire and flooding now. When they show the fire, it's him trying to break out of the that she.
Oh yeah, wait, now I remember that. Yeah.
Oh my god! And you.
Hey, but also Aiden, in the first, they reference that guy, but then when they leave, they're in Atlas.
Yeah, they are in Atlas, aren't they? That's super strange. It actually takes place during Volume 7 time. Even and the simulation was during Volume 1 time. That's really weird, and that's how we.
This is a very confusing movie lore-wise.
We don't know why they're in the simulation to begin with.
I mean, I'm gonna assume it was like they were doing like training with like during like the montage arc, you know?
Sure.
Or like during that montage episode. Because that's the only time they could be fucking around. The only other time Atlas is burning.
Yeah. Really weird movie. They had Batman hit on Weiss and Weiss hit on Batman, and that was really weird. And then they had like a love triangle between Norman and Cyborg, and that was
and Superman and RWBY becoming friends was kind of cool though.
Yeah,
You-
just because they're both leaders.
Do you get like a sense of like the the characters of the superheroes in
No,
this universe?
you
or
don't.
just-
You don't. There's no character development in any of these movies.
They don't feel like they're characters.
This feels like
At
they were
all.
like. This feels like a fan
The
fiction. Well, all they just wanted the characters to fight.
The only character that felt like they were their like original character was like Wonder Woman.
Oh, and also Green Lantern.
Yeah, her too.
Yeah.
But like Wonder Woman and Green Lantern were the only two people that felt like their like original character.
Well, I just felt like Green Lantern was the only one who had an arc.
Yeah. Yeah, but like Wonder Woman felt like Wonder Woman as a character. No one else felt like I wasn't like
Batman felt really weird because he was all like cheery for some reason. When I think of Batman, I do not think of cheery.
No, he was very weird. He didn't want to leave. Kind of weird. I like the part when Blake thinks that Wonder Woman is really hot, and then or Yang thinks Wonder Woman is really hot, and Blake gets mad at her.
Yeah.
That was pretty funny.
All right. Movie 2.
So movie 2.
That one was in the RWBY universe.
Queendom.
This one's in the DC universe.
Yeah, no, this is 2 movies back. Uri.
Oh.
Ice Queendom, the show.
Movie. Yeah, this is the second movie in the It's the sequel. It takes place in the DC universe. It takes place 3 days after they made it back to DC.
Did you look that
Is
up?
it the same? Is it the
No,
same?
they say that.
They do?
In the movie, Beck, they say, "Hey, it's been 3 days since we were in the simulation," and then Team RWBY's like, "Yeah, it's been like 3 months."
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant it was 3 days since they got out of Alice in Wonderland world.
No.
Yeah.
Now, do they change the style of the animation for the DC
No,
universe?
it just looks the same. But the DC characters look like they're actual DC characters.
They look bad. Yeah, they look good. Batman looks weird. He looks like weird and thin. But he's also not in it for like the whole time, so it's okay.
But this is the biggest thing about movie 2 is that it gives us new RWBY lore. Cause like it takes place now. It takes place during a volume 10. I'm like, oh, that I guess they like just never mention it. They mention a lot about what happens, where it's like they're on patrol, they're clearing Grim out of the Valley, they're preparing for a giant attack from Salem. Like they give a lot of important RWBY like volume 10 lore in this movie.
Yeah. Like it has character building from volume 9 in this movie.
Which is
like,
crazy to me.
Both Yang, RWBY, and Weiss all have like more stuff from volume 8 and 9.
Yeah. It feels this movie feels like so weird because it jumps between like it skips 2 seasons of RWBY, and the movies like came out really like soon after each other. I think they came out both in the same year, and this is also the last official like RWBY thing we've gotten.
Yeah, it's very weird, but like nothing matters in this one. Like,
who's the villain of this one?
Victor Watts.
But Arthur Watts.
Arthur Watts,
the guy that died in the fire. After they're like, maybe it's the guy from the video game.
Okay, you wanted to... No, that was so stupid. Okay, Uri. So randomly in a conversation, they're like, guys, let's go through the famous RWBY villains we know. It could be this guy, or it could be Dr. Blythe. And I'm like, who the fuck is Dr. Blythe? And then I look it up. It's a fucking villain from RWBY Grim Escape? You're expecting me to know the fucking villain from RWBY Grim Escape? The fuck? You can't randomly name drop a guy I've never heard of before.
It is pretty funny, though. It is pretty funny.
You're telling me those games actually matter?
Yeah, they're all canon.
They didn't refund it after 10 minutes. It was so bad.
I'll probably get it when it's on sale because it matters to the lore.
Yeah, I'll probably play it with Aiden.
Yeah. But yeah,
For reference,
nothing
What?
Nothing happens in this one, though.
The weather is 62 Fahrenheit.
Great.
That's good to know. But like,
We've never
happens aside
forgotten,
from-
guys. We've never forgotten the temperature.
What the only important things is that Weiss kind of is like home is where your people are and isn't actually Atlas, which got destroyed, which Batman talks to her about.
Yeah.
Which is kind of built from the first movie, which is nice. And then Ruby's like, maybe I shouldn't be reckless with my life.
I do
And then
think
she
you can
is
definitely
reckless
tell
with her life.
Ruby is like so much more powerful after she's gone through a PTSD arc. Because she's just clear and grim with a smile on her face. It's really fun.
Yeah, but then she's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be just throwing myself into danger. And yeah, Ruby, please don't do that.
Yeah.
And then they like reconcile characters as sisters, and Blake doesn't do anything. But basically, this movie amounts to nothing.
It basically does. I don't
Just
know
like
what the
most of
point of
RWBY.
doing it was.
Like the good part about the movie was already made bad because only Team Ruby's in this one. Like Jean,
no
Nora,
Juniper.
Ren aren't in, and no Team Juniper in this one. But because they didn't put Jean in the movie, they looked at Flash and said, "There's a blonde guy who goes through shit with a dead girlfriend. He's basically Jean," and then gave him the interesting thing to do, which is where he has PTSD from Kilgore possessing his mind.
Yeah.
And then he's just written like Jean for the movie.
Personally, I like the second movie more, and I think Aiden just doesn't like it because it doesn't have Jean in it.
Yeah.
Would a movie be better with Penny?
Yes.
I don't know what she would do. Hang out with Cyborg, I guess.
She would just chill. I'd be fine if Penny had no plot relevance and she was just hanging out with them.
Which would be better. I guess that is way better than weird love triangle between Nora, Ren, and Cyborg.
Yes.
That was really weird.
So, as you guys reflect on, because this is where you currently are at the end of the RWBY stories.
Yeah, I want to give like the full like main series RWBY retrospective.
So as you guys complete your story, reflect on what the show has meant and what you felt best weaknesses, worst weaknesses, best strengths for yours.
Worst weaknesses are easily like visually looks kind of garbage.
Yeah, it grows on you at some point, but like if you show it to a random person, they'll be like, "That looks terrible."
Yeah. The other thing is like the writing at a lot of times can be not good, and like things aren't fleshed out too well, but like is still engaging. It's fun. It's a fun series. It's not the best, but I do really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't know, like I'm gonna say this. My Adventures with Superman is a better show, but I like RWBY a lot more.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it's like a guilty pleasure where I know a lot of it is bad, but it just has such like a vibe. The characters are fun to watch. It has a really cool world. It has so many cool ideas.
Meshes with me.
It just meshes with me very well also. And
apparently so.
It's like the most I've enjoyed a show for a while. Like when I got to the end of Volume 9, I was really sad. I couldn't watch any more RWBY, you know?
Yeah. It is good. People say it's a bad show, but it is good.
Yes.
It definitely has a lot of merits. That's kind of why I chose the show for the summer arc.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to show that, like Steven Universe, just gets dunked on for no real reason.
Yeah, it also feels like a very unique show. Like, I can't really think of anything quite like RWBY, you know?
No.
But it's also a show that's kind of been maybe thoroughly attacked. Because, like, you know how many, like, fucking things you've told me about, like, oh, I got, like, canceled from that, like, streaming service, and then that place. It's a very attacked show, I'm gonna say.
I mean, the problem is, it's an indie web show that was made by, like, a very small team and has grown into something really big. And the company that was making it fucking exploded. So it had a lot of hard stuff going for it. It had the creator of it die between seasons 2 and 3, so it had a lot of tough journey, but in the end, I think it turned out an amazing show, and I'm really excited for Volume 10.
Yeah.
It also like the music, like I don't know like a show that has like a soundtrack like RWBY. It's so like weird and fun, and I love just randomly listening to the songs.
It's like the mix of hard metal with sincere renditions of character themes and songs. Like that's one thing I can say that the show does really well, using leitmotifs of different characters, the songs.
Yeah.
Like any emotional moment, they'll cut it in like the character's main theme. Like you hear RWBY's theme a lot whenever important things are happening to RWBY, or like if Yang is having a really important fight, they'll have I Burn playing in the background. Or like important stuff that's related to different seasons, they'll have like that season's intro playing during that scene. Like there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to say is like the intros for this show like get me like really hyped. Like I don't know,
Yeah.
it's like the perfect blend of music and like them doing a ton of cool stuff. But every time I watch one of the intros, I'm like, I'm so glad like I'm watching the show. This show is so cool.
Yeah.
And so, as you come to the end of the show,
Yes,
what do
Ice
you hope
Queendom and Chibi to end it off.
Yep.
Next episode, and then 90 we will call the official end of the RWBY arc.
Yeah.
Well, 90 is is like that.
Well, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I'm making it, so I get to put it in there.
Yeah. But
the RWBY trivia show, where the only real competitors are me and Aiden.
So what do you hope they take into a potential Volume 10?
So Volume 10, I feel like they're setting up a ton of cool stuff.
I think the show can end in 2 volumes.
It could.
Or maybe 3.
I feel like it could do 2. It could do Vacuo and then like a final thing at Beacon. They're definitely ending it at Beacon with the final relic that's hidden there.
100%.
But I feel like Vacuo is where they're gonna try to do a last stand. And then Beacon is like maybe they lose the last stand, and then they all have to rally together and attack Salem then at Beacon.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they can make it conclude. I don't know.
So do you think they can end the show in like only 2 more volumes that's needed or something?
I think 2 or 3 volumes, they could end it.
Yeah. But I would like more of the show. Like
I'm
watching the Chibi episodes. I'll say that after watching the main series, going back to it's a little tricky because they are like their season 1, 2 character types. But like it's fun. Like this is what has been missing from the show is like the little side off episodic episodes.
Yeah.
Like Volume 1 has like 2 like episodic episodes, and that's like all we have. Everything else is plot.
Yeah,
plot.
they don't have a lot of time where the characters just like chill and do fun stuff. That's why I really love the food fight at the start of Volume 2, where it felt like it had no plot or events. It was just these people like hanging out, having a good time, you know?
Yeah. But like the Chibi series is like, it's not like the best. Like the designs are scary. Not everything is funny, but like I enjoy watching it because some stuff is really funny, and like everything they do is pretty creative.
Yeah,
like they just have a running bit like through all the episodes where like Neptune and Sun are like junior detectives and they just go solve crimes. Like I like Ren in this series. Ren is funny. I like Jimmy Ren. He's kind of funny because they pair him up with Neptune and Sun, 2 characters he doesn't interact with, but like has weirdly good chemistry with because he's the straight man of the 2 goofballs.
Yeah. One thing I do want to say, Uri, is Ice Queendom. I like watched the first episode of it, and what it is basically, this is set up for next episode, is it's basically the first season remade, and I do think they should do that with I want to say at least the first 2 seasons, maybe the first 3.
Yeah.
Because the first 3 seasons have so many problems because it was like them first starting off. They had like no money. It was terrible. Like the animation was not good. So I think if they like remade the first couple seasons, it would be a great jumping on point so people didn't have to deal with all the problems that were in the first 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that
I
does
hope they
make sense.
continue Ice Queendom.
So you want them to like maybe reanimate it or something? Like, or
Yeah,
what?
yeah. They're like this show is basically a remake of the first season, and I think they should do like 2 more seasons so they remake seasons 2 and
But
3.
But isn't Ice Queendom about Weiss though?
No.
Specifically?
It is just all. It is just. I've watched the first episode and the second episode. It is like basically just volume 1. It has the entire.
Yeah, but there's like 20 other episodes that you haven't watched.
I haven't watched, no, but the
It is
first.
also called Ice Queendom.
Okay.
And we have a
from the
character
first
who is
2
called-
episodes, it just feels like they're remaking the first season, but like
Okay,
fixing a ton of problems that they had. Like so many
Yeah.
problems that I had with like the first couple episodes, they like completely fixed. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's all we need to say for
Yes.
today.
So get excited for Ice Queendom next week.
Woo!
Uri's not
Ending
getting
the-
excited; he's getting depressed. But we'll see you
Yeah.
next episode.
I'm actually I quite like just listening in the back of just to you two talk about it a bit. And
Okay,
I
but
enjoy it.
Uri, let me give
Uri,
you a little thing.
Hurry.
You can watch Ice Queendom.
You can watch Ice Queendom.
Wow, maybe I will for the bit.
It's literally just the first season. You can watch it and talk about it with us next week.
Maybe.
It's 20 episodes, which kind of is a lot, but I know you can do it.
Yeah. But if you want, Uri, feel free.
Yeah.
What's the rec?
The rec?
Deadpool and Wolverine.
Deadpool and Wolverine, or any of the other Deadpools. They're all good. They're all good.
Yeah.
Remember, always use Celsius. We'll see you next week.
Watch
get
the
a Biggest
movie
Mamas.
Hundreds of Beavers. Good movie.
Oh, that's a good movie.
I want to. I don't know where to watch it.
We gotta do a watch party of that. Bye.